computer here, so let's go ahead and get started. Looks like the recording's in progress. We have 58 people attending, and I think that's great. Welcome, everyone. Happy New Year. I hope everyone's been able to stay safe, enjoy some time with family. Maybe we'll just stop there since you probably shouldn't have been out interacting with friends during this COVID pandemic, but hopefully you were able to connect with people online. So today we're going to do another one of our town hall meetings, and we thank you for joining us. As you know, the session began earlier this week, and I think we'll start off with Kelly giving us an update on the session so far, and then have her introduce our guests.
Yeah, so actually, if you don't mind, Dan, I wanted to start out with the most important thing on the item, which is thanking Ashley Kent for all of her amazing work and tell her how much we're going to miss her.
I decided not to do that because I am in denial. She's really not leaving at the end of the day. But yes, indeed, she is moving on to far greener pastures, and she will be sorely missed at the center. All that she's contributed over the last 6 years has been phenomenal. It's going to be hard to move forward without her around. So yeah, it's going to be a sad day. We're in mourning. I'm going through the 7 stages of mourning, and right now I'm in full-on rage. So that's where I'm at now. Eventually I get to acceptance.
Well, thank you, Ashley. We appreciate you so much. I know you're going to do great things and have fun, but we'll pine for you for at least a good couple years.
We love you, Ashley.
So with that, I think what I'm going to do is just turn it over to Andy Shirtliff. He's going to introduce his team at the SBA and a couple of other folks working on important economic development stuff. We talked with Andy, Tim and I talked with Andy probably about a month ago now, and just kind of spitballing how we could get our communities in with the resources that are available to you in terms of economic recovery, and doing some great work with your private sector partners in your community. So with that, I will turn it over to Andy. I'm sure we're going to learn a bunch of great stuff.
You're on mute, Andy.
And here I was saying some nice things about the team, but thanks for joining us. My name is Andy Shirtliff. I'm the Outreach and Marketing Specialist with the Montana District Office of the Small Business Administration. I joined back in May. I'm going to start off by introducing our team. I'll kind of work up from the list. I got myself. We've got Kelly Dixon, who is our Business Opportunity Specialist. We'll have Martin DeWitt, who is our Senior Area Manager, and he's based over in Billings. We'll have 2 of our Lender Relations Specialists, Rena Carlson and Tom White. But then to kind of kick off this meeting, and I'm going to have a PowerPoint slide to share if that works okay for everybody. Is that going to be okay? Okay, perfect. I'll just hit share. But then to kind of kick things off, we have our District Director of the Montana SBA. We have Brent Donnelly. Brent, I'll get this started and I'll let you kick it off. There we go. If that works. Let me share my screen.
There you go. Can you hear me now? Great. Well, Andy's pulling that up. I guess I would just start out by kicking us off by saying I am truly grateful for the opportunity to speak with this group. I think that this is from my perspective, a tremendous opportunity for the SBA to partner with you all. So thanks to the league and everyone that was willing to arrange and help set this up and invite us in this morning. As you probably all are aware, the SBA over the course of the last few months has become highlighted in many different ways as part of the COVID response for small business, specifically through the PPP program and the EIDL program and others that have occurred since March, April of last year through the end of the year, and now we're right on the cusp of launching another round of that. So we wanted to provide here today a couple things, a quick overview of what we do. And one of my goals is to just make sure Montanans know, what is the suite of assistance that's available through the SBA? And then the second part of that, which perhaps is the most important, is how to access that. And so at the district office level, we do a lot of outreach and work in that area to try to help, spread the word, communicate the word, and are looking for opportunities to partner. We have to do a lot of partnering, both with our lending community, economic development community, and hopefully even more with you all in that regard to try to accomplish that goal. So I'm going to give you a quick overview. Don't worry, no death by federal PowerPoint today, only one slide on each program, so you should not fear before the weekend. Wanted to give a quick update on the COVID relief so far as it pertains to Montana specifically, so you all have an idea of what that has looked like. A quick overview of what's coming here soon, or at least to the extent that we know about that. Some things are going to be rolled out and launched in a few days. And so those are going to be important probably to all of your communities. And then I'm hoping at the end we have a time for questions or some ideas on dialoguing on how we can partner with you specifically in your local communities. Perhaps a little bit more than we have in the past to help reach businesses or prospective business owners in your area. So with that, thank you again. I do see this as a tremendous opportunity. I'll just jump right into the content and the meat of this and get rolling. So Andy,
Yep.
Will you roll the video?
You bet. Yeah.
If we can get the video.
Yeah. I'm hitting the share button as many times as I can. All right. Thank you, Ashley. I'm going to change it over to slideshow here in a second.
WebEx is just building anticipation for us because we're just so excited.
I tell you, I got a little nervous at the beginning there. It's anytime you start a town hall with the word rage as part of the introduction, it's kind of makes,
It's going to be an adventure.
I do have coffee.
Yeah, we sit down crazy.
All right. So I'll start with a little bit of a video. Jeez Louise. Man, I tell you, we'll try this one more time.
We can.
Yeah.
That was a little jumbled, but I think we just move on to the next.
I think so too.
Okay. So,
Nice
Andy?
Yeah.
First. Okay.
There we go. And so we're going to talk about the 3 C's of the SBA. Are you guys seeing where it says 3 C's of the SBA on my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right. So counseling, contracting, and capital. First up is counseling. We've got a set of partners across our state, from the Women's Business Center, which is based in Bozeman, but now we're getting a second one here in Montana. We also do have the one in Bozeman's run by Susie Burgett White, who's down in at the Prospera Business Network, the economic developer in that region. We also have the U.S. Small Business Administration VBOX Center in Billings at the Big Sky Economic Development Association, and that is run by Dustin Frost. That's to help veterans kind of transition from active duty to civilian life and start a business. We have SCORE chapters in 3 different areas in the state that kind of help mentor business owners along. And then, of course, we have are 10 Montana SBDCs, or small business development centers, based across the state. And we'll jump through this, but if you have questions, feel free to reach out to us afterwards, and I can get you all this information and patch you into folks. And next up is contracting. We've got Kelly Dixon, who's our business opportunity specialist, who I'll hand it over to her.
While we're waiting for Kelly to join, I'm just going to tag on to what Andy said regarding those prior services. Those are our business counseling services, and so these are all staff that are spread across Montana through our partner organizations that help businesses, whether they want to start up. They can help them navigate through feasibility, business planning, marketing plans, getting ready for financing, and all of those issues that are necessary to start up a business. And that's kind of the obvious thing that they do. I think another really important service that can be provided there, though, is with existing businesses. You know, we all want to talk about how many businesses that are started in the community and how many jobs are created and how that impacts us economically, but sometimes businesses have a bump in the road, and these folks can help, I think, in a lot of cases, add a second set of eyes that may be able to, at least in some of those cases, and one is enough, right? Or many more may be able to help right the ship in some cases and keep a good business in our community. And so I think to kind of keep that in mind on both ends, are you starting a business, or do you have an existing business, either it's got a bump in the road or wants to grow and needs to take that next level? There's a lot of great resources and a really robust network here in Montana right now of varied experience that could play a role there. So I'll stop there and let Kelly talk on contracting.
Sorry, I was on mute when I started. I'm Kelly Dixon. I'm located in the Helena office. I work with the government contracting programs. The federal government uses special programs to help small businesses win at least 23% of all federal contracting dollars each year. We have set-aside programs to help level the playing field for small businesses. The government limits competition for certain contracts to small businesses, and those contracts are called small business set-asides. And they help small businesses compete for and win federal contracts. The SBA provides several programs to help small businesses win federal contracts. By participating in these programs, they help small businesses win their fair share of federal contracts, qualify for exclusive set-asides and sole source contracts, partner with established contractors to win contracts, and get business mentoring and education to learn how to do federal contracting firms. Some set-asides are open to any small business, but some are only open to the small businesses who participate in SBA's programs. The certification programs that we have for the set-asides are 8A, which is for socially and economically disadvantaged businesses. We have a hub zone program, which is historically underutilized business zones. We have a women-owned small business and economically disadvantaged women-owned small business, and those are for women-owned and economically disadvantaged women-owned small businesses doing business in industries that are underrepresented by women. And we have service disabled owned small businesses set aside. And some government contracts for large companies require subcontracting opportunities with small business, which creates more opportunities for small businesses to get involved in federal contracting. We have an all small mentor protege program, and the purpose of that program is to develop strong protege firms through mentor provided business development assistance. Proteges successfully compete for government contracts. We also provide, it's called 7J Management and Technical Assistance, and the 7J program provides assistance such as training, executive education, and one-on-one counseling in a wide range of business activities, including marketing, accounting, opportunity development, and capture management, compliance, and financial analysis. And those are currently all online and they send out stuff monthly. So if you're interested in getting those classes, please let me know. We have some different websites that Am I Eligible, where you can type in information about your business and it will tell you what programs you're eligible for. We also have PTAX in Montana, which is a Procurement Technical Assistance Center, and they can help small businesses get into government contracting and fill out all the paperwork and look at their bids, and they have bid match programs, and they are located throughout the state of Montana. Currently, there are five PTAC centers in Montana that cover the whole state. And if you have any questions, please contact me or put something in the chat. Thank you.
Okay, for this group on what Kelly said there, just, I think one of the main points here, you saw through the counseling and now through the government contracting, the SBA does a heck of a lot more than just make loans, and we reach a lot of width when it comes to small business and economic development. And government contracting is one of those great examples where if you have a small business that has a great product or great service, and they think they could sell it to the federal government, that can be kind of scary, kind of intimidating, because it's a large entity, or there's a lot of paperwork, or there's a bunch of rules or different things like that. And I think I want this group to know is we have some resources and programs and availability to help some of those businesses navigate that process. And so if you have businesses in your community that may be a candidate for that, we would very much like to get in front of them and have a chance to visit with them a little bit and see if we can advance that endeavor to the next step. Carry on.
All right, so this must mean I'm up. I'm not sure about anyone else, but when that video kicked off, I thought Andy was going to start doing TikTok dances, but he didn't accommodate. So that's what I was shooting for. So so the last C that I get a visit with you guys about is our capital access program. So really, when you're looking at SBA programs and you want to access capital, one of those things is getting that counseling service to make sure that you're successful when you go to the bank, or when you're looking to grow and maybe move your business into that contracting side of things. Maybe there's capital that's needed in order to accommodate those needs. So really with the SBA, there's really two core components that we go out and talk about of how you access capital through the SBA. Probably one of our most known, especially through our lenders, is our 7A guaranteed loan program. And so that 7A, there's a benefit to the bank and risk mitigation, but the importance really to the borrower, which is helping those businesses out, is a lot of times it creates an opportunity for those businesses to actually access that capital where normally they wouldn't, where maybe that bank is up against credit limits or some different things like that. That guarantee actually opens up those opportunities to allow those banks to work with the clients that they want to and make their good loans great, right? That's kind of the hope with the guarantee loan program. Benefit to that borrower is really by accessing that. A lot of times the banks can be a little bit more competitive with their rates. They can stretch terms out longer. And what that means to the borrower is that it lowers that debt service that they're paying, which increases their cash flow, which increases that potential for that business to be successful in your guys' communities that you serve, right? And that's what you want, because successful business means increased tax revenue for your communities that you're working with. So that's really where it feeds back down to you guys. So we've got our 7A guaranteed loan program, and really with that, the borrower goes into the bank, talks to the bank makes the determination to apply for that 7A guarantee and work with the SBA on that package. The other one that we have is the 504 program. I don't name these things. That's just what the bill was. Terrible names, but that's what they are. So we've got the 504 loan program. 504, the uniqueness with that really is the structure portion of that. and how it comes into a participation loan. And the participation happens between the borrower, a bank, and what's known as a CDC, or a certified development company. And so that participation breaks out to the bank comes in with a 50% of the needed amount for that transaction to happen. That CDC comes in with a 40% amount of that transaction, and the borrower comes in with 10. So again, we want to talk about benefits and what that means. Benefits to the bank: one, their risk is only at 50% instead of 100% exposure. Benefit to the borrower is interest rates and upfront money. So if a borrower were to walk into a bank on a commercial real estate transaction, a lending institution may be expecting a 20% down. With this 504 program, there's a 10% down requirement, so that upfront cash is less. Second things that go along with that is in that CDC, that 40% portion, they've got fixed interest rates, and right now, I mean, they are historically low. I've seen some that are advertised less than 2.5%. And then the bank portion, the bank sets their rate. So if a bank comes in with a 6% interest rate, and that CDC comes in with that 2.5% interest rate, you blend their rates, you're talking about a 4.25% interest rate for that bank. Again, lower debt service, higher cash flow, greater propensity for successful business in the communities you serve. So how does that all help you guys out, and how can those funds be used? As you can see on the slide here, I mean, it's a whole variety of things, anything from revolving lines of credit, working capital, to all up to purchasing that real estate, and getting into the export side of things, which I think we have a slide on as well here coming up. So large variety. It's easier to say what our loans can't do than what they can do. So on the export international trade, these loan programs fall under that 7A side of things, where our traditional 7A is a 75% guarantee for those banks on a potential loss. If we've got a business that's looking into getting into exporting and expanding their markets across our national borders and getting into international markets, that guarantee portion can go up to 90% on our international trade loan. We've got options for working capital. So if you're needing funds to actually meet the contract needs, if you need that upfront money so that you can satisfy an international contract and get into that market, that's what that working capital is there for. You need an express loan. I mean, there's access to money within 36 hours of approval. That's getting all the information into the bank getting all the information into the SBA and moving forward with that. International trade loan is really looking at expanding your facility, purchasing fixed assets so that you can accommodate that international market work that you're trying to do. And so with that, you can get all the way up to $5 million on both the working capital or the international trade loan. Express loans down to the $500,000 there. So next slide on what I get a visit with you guys about. So SBA disaster assistance loans. This obviously came, I think this was our hidden secret there for a while. It's no longer hidden at all. So our SBA disaster assistance loans are through our economic injury disaster loan, or EIDL, that a lot of folks have come to know, maybe love, maybe hate. But the purpose of these funds were really set up for natural disaster type situations, you know, on the coastlines, more on that hurricane side of things is where it has a huge impact for those states. Here in Montana, it can fall more onto the side of you know, drought or heavy snowfall, freezing, ice jams, different natural disaster type situations that actually happen and affect a business where they lose income because of that disaster. And that's really what this is set up for. What we became famous for with the program is transitioning this program of a natural disaster assistance into a biological disaster that we're in with the pandemic right now. So really those funds can be utilized. So in a more natural disaster side of things, on that personal property portion that it points out there is sometimes those natural disasters cause damaged homes. That's actually something that the fund can be used for, is when the home is damaged because of that natural disaster side of things. So that personal property's in there. Real estate purchase and things like that is when it comes to the business being not being able to locate or redevelop their real estate and get that back up to it. The economic injury is that loss of revenue so that they can make payments. Machinery and equipment, is looking at renting or getting machinery and equipment to clean up that natural disaster thing. Probably not so much in a pandemic that's going to be needed, but in natural disasters where that happens, those types of things may come into play. So really program set up for natural disaster right now. There's opportunities for that because of the pandemic, and we get into a little bit more details of that coming up here later on in the presentation.
Awesome. Thanks, Martin.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
So just I want to just chime in on that real quick too. I hope through all that there's a massive amount of different programs and assistance regarded to access to capital, and I think one of the things just mindset wise, it does not take very long to find a research of some sort that talks about one of the main reasons businesses fail is lack of available capital, lack of sufficient capital, and so. There's some solutions here, I think, for some of those businesses. And so if you have businesses in your community where you're kind of hearing about that, please direct them over to the SBA so we can start to work with them and navigate through whether one of these programs can help them out. So thanks, Martin.
Next up is a little bit about the CARES Act and how it affected Montana, and the CARES Act being the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act of 2020, which was a $2.2 trillion economic stimulus bill passed by Congress. And some of that money made it to Montana, actually all 56 counties, and to nearly 24,000 businesses. As you can see here with the Paycheck Protection Program, nearly 24,000 loans were issued in Montana to the tune of nearly $1.8 billion of paycheck protection money came into Montana to help save jobs and businesses. And you might have also heard of the economic injury disaster loan. Martin mentioned it. There were nearly 10,000 loans issued for that to the tune of $540 million to Montana's businesses that had issues with obtaining revenue. And then there was also the advance, which was a $10,000 advance that businesses could get in expectation of the other EIDL loan. And there was over 17,000 loans to the tune of $50 million. And that's quite a chunk of change where the federal government invested in Montana. That's all total. That's about 51,000 loans to the tune of $2.3 billion of federal dollars injected into every county in the state, helping keep our economy afloat. And that's you heard it time and time again in the news. And we can't thank our lenders enough for helping out our bankers and our lenders. And actually, we gave them a recognition and an award about a month ago for their efforts, their tireless efforts during the pandemic. Couldn't thank our resource partners enough, and our bankers who worked tirelessly 7 days a week, long hours. We heard people that got phone calls and emails and texts from their banker at 10 o'clock on a Sunday saying, "Hey, you're forgetting this on your form when you file." And then once the person files on Monday, the money was in their bank later that week. And so this was definitely a team effort. And you've heard a lot or been wondering a lot about PPP and EIDL forgiveness. We have some new information on that, as well as your lenders, the folks that had received PPP or EIDL funds, to talk to their lender. We encourage them to talk to their lenders. But if you have questions, feel free. I'll have our contact information at the end. And then I will pass it over to Brent Donnelly, our district director.
Thanks, Abe. So yeah, I want to talk a little bit about some of the things, and just to tag on to that loan piece. I'm not sure if Tom and Rena are on the line, but I think for this group, one thing I want you all to know is we're really fortunate in Montana to have two of the best lender relation specialists in the United States here. They get tapped to work on projects nationally all the time. And what that means for Montana, though, is they've got some great relationships with our Montana banks. All the Montana banks, most of the credit unions already have existing lender agreements with the SBA. And so when a business is trying to navigate through that process, we got some awesome tools to help them out and help their lender out. So please make sure, I guess I'm telling you that because I want you to know that the resources are available, and they are here in Montana. And right now the team is really awesome and really good. And can help advance projects. So with that, Andy, you can go on to the next slide. I mentioned in the beginning, one of the things, what we want to do is make sure Montana, Montanans, A, know about the suite of SBA products, and then B, how to get them. And so we're trying to do some additional outreach, and I'm hoping to get a little bit of dialogue perhaps going here with this group. But just as an example, go ahead to the next slide, Andy. Just as an example of something that we did recently in this effort is we launched in the middle of December what we called the Peaks to Plains Montana Business Resiliency Tour. And I hope some of you have heard a little bit about this or seen something on this, but we did a 56 county tour of Montana in the 7-day period. So over the course of 7 long days, we visited one business in each of Montana's 56 counties. Most of those were located in county seats, with a couple of exceptions on the logistics, but we did this for a couple reasons. So one is the awareness of the SBA, but this was kind of a COVID response, for businesses in Montana, and I guess across the nation too. COVID came on pretty quick, and there wasn't a lot of early opportunity to respond. And then initially, it was supposed to be kind of a short term, won't last but a months or something like that. And now here we are. I mean, we're like, pushing a year later, and we're still dealing with COVID. And so we wanted to thank businesses, number one, for all the things that they had done to respond to COVID, whether that was physical changes to their locations, or how they delivered products or service, or operational changes. And we wanted to highlight some of those things for Montanans to make sure that Montana knew our small businesses were open, and they were prepared to serve their communities and serve their customers and make sales and generate the revenue that they need to stay open and stay viable. And so we had that, and then we had a good opportunity, I think, to hear from Montana businesses about just what their small local communities meant to them as business owners, and what those impacts were. And I think one of the most wonderful things for me on the takeaway after all of that is how many stories, town after town, we heard of how local communities, your communities, honestly, came to support their local businesses. And I mean, we had business owners actually in tears in a couple as they described how incredible their communities were, buying gift certificates and tearing them up, and maintaining subscriptions when they didn't have to, and buying extra products and services. So I hope that that's some good news. We want to really talk about as much good news and opportunity as possible, and I think that this was a great way to do this, and I wouldn't hesitate to do something like this again. In some format at some time, and this group be a perfect one to help partner with on some of these efforts. And so I wanted to raise that and bring that up. We did a follow-up article to kind of share some of our takeaways, and be glad to email that out to someone that could distribute this to the group, and you're certainly welcome to take a look at that. But that's one example. Go ahead, Andy, to the next slide.
It's sorry, it's lagging on my end. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Is this on kind of the next round of stimulus? Is that what we're doing?
Yes, it is. Yep, that's it.
Okay, I'm going to get started. So I know that folks across the nation and across the state are hungry to kind of see and hear a little bit about what's coming with the next round of PPP. And that is, I think that's going to be launched here, and maybe the poll on our end opened up this week. We had a call yesterday, provided a little bit of information, although it's still kind of at our desk at the 50,000 foot level. But I want to share a few bullet points of what I know, because I do think that this is going to, again, affect every single one of your communities and multiple businesses in all of your communities. And so with the PPP program, this round, there's a couple things that I can share. One is there's going to be an opportunity for businesses that have not received a PPP loan previously. So maybe they didn't think they would need it during the first round or didn't get one for a variety of reasons. There'll be an opportunity for them to access the program. There's also going to be an opportunity for businesses that received a PPP loan previously to go in for a second draw or an additional funding through the PPP loan. There's more sideboards on those. Those businesses have to show a 25% reduction in gross revenues and have to have fewer than 300 employees. But I do think that there'll be some opportunity there. A big one, I think, for Montana is they have designated NAICS Code 72, which is the accommodation and food service code. So our restaurant type operations that have been hit fairly hard. They've changed the calculation on the max PPP loan for them. It was at 2.5 times their average monthly payroll, and for that industry, it's bumped up to 3.5 times their monthly payroll. So, so I know a lot of those businesses have already accessed PPP, but they'll be able to here shortly, I think, be able to go back and access a little bit more if they still have a need. Couple other items that are probably notable. 60% of the funds have to be used for payroll costs. They've expanded the allowable expenses to also include supplier costs on existing contracts and purchase orders, including costs for perishable goods, costs related to worker protective equipment, adaptive costs, and technology operations expenditures. And so what that is just really a larger group of eligible expenses. Another big one here, I think, for Montana, huge for Montana, is they're simplifying the forgiveness application process for the smaller loans to $150,000. And significance there is, at least during the first group of PPP, that was over 90% of the loans in Montana. So that's going to be a tremendous, I think, tremendous help both for the businesses and for a banking industry, hopefully to get that forgiveness processed a little bit more quickly. Another one for Montana establishes the loan calculation for farmers and ranchers to better align with recent years' income. So that was one where when we kind of got the farmers and ranchers eligible, some of them, the loan amount they were eligible for was really small. So they've redone that calculation. It does allow for the and be up there. So I think that's going to be an opportunity. Some active here in Montana. Opens up eligibility for 501c6 nonprofits and destination marketing organizations. So that was a group of folks not eligible in the first round and now will be, along with local newspapers, TV, and radio stations. So that likely will impact many of the communities that you guys all participate in. And then finally on PPP, there was a provision that many of you may have heard about where the EIDL advances, which were up to $10,000, calculated $1,000 per employee, were being deducted off the PPP forgiveness amount, which was, I'd say, a source of confusion at the very least. That's been eliminated, so that's no longer going to happen. So that'll make the forgiveness process on those existing PPP loans a lot easier as well. Gonna just real quick, there's some temporary increases to the loan guarantee on our existing loan programs. Some of those loan programs that Martin was talking about earlier, I think that those are going to continue to be in high demand, maybe even increased high demand, so we can provide guarantees up to 90% on those. eliminates the fees on those 504 loans, and then also is going to extend the debt relief portion. Interestingly enough, the CARES Act provided debt relief for payments on existing SBA loans for a few months, which was a big thing, but we didn't hear a lot about it. That's going to be extended. And then there's a grant program for shuttered live venues, theaters, and museums. We don't know the mechanics on how that's being rolled out, but we should have that hopefully fairly soon. So I guess that's a little taste of what's to come. And my message there is we will send out, and I'm sure some of you have received, maybe some have not, but send out email updates as we get new information on the delivery and the mechanics and the rules with those programs. I would be glad to include you all on that, and ask that as leaders in your community, to the extent that you've got the ability to disseminate that information to small businesses, we want to just make sure the small businesses get that information. They know what type of assistance is available and how to get it if they so choose to take that. So we'll fire that out. What else? What's next? We're probably running short on time here, and I want to have a little chance for a discussion. Okay. This gets to what was mentioned right at the beginning, where Andy, we were, kicking around ideas earlier this fall about, I had this idea about doing a deep dive, kind of an outreach effort on a county by county basis, or a very local kind of basis, and we headed down that path, and then we've now been, derailed again with stimulus and COVID response and all of that. I was hoping on this call that we were going to roll out and present to you kind of a pilot project or something that we had put out. I don't have that, but what I do want to let everyone know is that's on my mind. How can we even reach more businesses or prospective business owners in your communities? And how can we work with you all on that? And so my ask, which I had at the beginning of this, would be to perhaps, if we have a chance to have a little dialogue or some comments, or hear some feedback from folks on this call on what would be helpful. Like, how could, if the SBA was going to come into your community, whether we drive in there physically or on a computer meeting like this because we still have COVID, or some other methodology, what's a tangible, meaningful way for the SBA on a federal level to partner with you to reach your businesses?
So I would love to open it up for that discussion so you can get some feedback. Our chat box is available if anybody would like to chat. We will read those out because they're not recorded with our recordings. We want to make sure we capture that. But if anybody would like to unmute, you're also welcome to do that.
Love being recorded.
And just as a reminder, to unmute, you can either click the mute button at the bottom of your screen or one to the right of your name in the participant panel. And if you're on the phone, unmute is *6 on your keypad.
Yes, thank you, Ashley. And this is Mayor Jemison in Glendive. A very excellent presentation on SB. There is no money in the second round of relief for local governments or cities and towns. Is that correct?
To the extent of the relief package beyond the pieces that are with SBA, I couldn't honestly comment, sir. We're tasked here at the career level, at the local level, to try to deliver the SBA pieces as best we can to the businesses here in our district, which our district is Montana. So pieces outside of that, funds to local communities or states or counties, and that's kind of outside of our wheelhouse as far as what we're looking to deliver. So have I heard those kinds of things in the news and different things like that? Probably similar to you. Yeah, I have, but I mean, that's not.
Mayor Jemison. Yeah, I can confirm that's the case. There is no direct allocation to state or local governments in this act.
Okay, thank you.
I think one of the main things on that too, just so everybody knows, is we can control the pieces we can control. We can't control other pieces. The piece that we can control is delivering the information to the small businesses as best we can through our office and through our partners. And so that's what our focus really is going to be on.
It looks like Sarah Hudson is attempting to speak to us, but it's not coming through. So we'll keep trying on that. Anybody
Wondering if
else?
she's trying to answer the question in the chat there, Ashley.
That could be.
So that I'll go ahead and read it, and I probably can help address this. So there's a question in the chat that says, "Thank you for the information. We belong to a regional economic development group, Southeastern Economic Development." Oh, and then it slid up. Which provides a lot of the same business help. Does the SBA work hand in hand with the regional organizations? And the answer to that would be yes. If Sarah were able to unmute herself or speak, I know she could tell you and testify that her and I spoke several times and worked with Kathy a lot over the past to make sure that we were answering questions that were coming into them from businesses. And a lot of the economic development organizations around the state actually participate with the SBA through those resource partners, such as our SBDCs, our Women's Business Center, the VBOC as well. And a lot of times they reach out with our SCORE chapter. So we want to make sure that we're providing everything we can, and those economic development organizations are a key component to help make sure that our message is delivered, because in Montana, there's only 6 staff here, and it's a big state. So, that's one of the things I think that Brent's hoping for in this is making sure you guys understand our message, so that when you have people coming in and saying, "I want to move to Glendive, Mayor Jimison, and what's out there for me to start my business and make that happen," and you can say, "Hey, we just visited with this guy, Martin DeWitt, and he's out here in Eastern Montana from the area. You need to give him a call, and he can help point you in the right direction," right? And he can work with the local economic development group there that's located at Dawson Community College, and partner with Beth Epley, out of Baker, and work with all of those things to make sure that business has every resource possible. So we always want to encourage the use of those economic development groups, because they have programs beyond what the SBA has that will help make them better businesses, and that's what we're here for.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And we have another comment or question here in the chat I don't want to miss. This is from Agnes. She says, "Has any determination been made as to the tax implications for those that receive the COVID funding? Will they claim as income and then count expenses? Will you not claim as income and not claim expenses? Will you not claim as income, but do you get to still claim the expenses?" Basically, what is the reporting as to expense and income?
You have to do 3 cartwheels.
Good answer, Brent.
No. What I did actually this week, and I sent out in an update earlier this week, which maybe Ashley I should get to you for distribution or somebody else. The IRS actually has issued some guidance relative to that, and so I will just send you the IRS guidance, and please feel free to send that around. As far as the detail, I'm not qualified to give specific tax advice, but I certainly can provide that information that was guidance for the IRS. And I was on a call with an accounting firm this week, and I walked away with the impression that advice was going to be anticipated to be favorable for most businesses that received these funds.
Great. And that might be a discussion that we might want to have with Darla and company over at Local Government Services at some point. And Sarah's trying, it looks like on here. And it looks like we'll keep trying on that. In the meantime, is there anybody else that we missed that put anything in the chat or that would like to unmute and ask a question? Especially about how you might be able to help your communities and what that looks like with being kind of the liaison between these folks and those in your community, or anything else that might come up.
Andy, are you going to bring up the Gov delivery so we can send out information to them if they sign up for it? You're on mute.
You're muted, Andy.
All right. So of course it was on mute. So we have a listserv that we can send out information. We send out periodical updates via Gov delivery. I'm going to put it in the chat for you all. And feel free to sign up. It's our email list. It says public.govdelivery.com. It's just to sign up for our email list. We sent something out last night regarding the IRS recommendations on PPP, but in guidance. But also too, I want to make sure we saw something in there. Agnes, you asked another question. Oh, I see. Kelly's answering your question.
So Andy, just to be clear, that link was for, was that email update list?
Yes, it's so you sign up using your email and you'll get our updates from the Montana district office, which some of those updates will be from SBA headquarters in DC. Okay,
I will copy that link and make sure we have that in our email that goes out as well.
Yeah, perfect.
And one thing too, I just want to say, I mean, even if it's not publicly stated here during this call, you know, one of my main questions, like if I get in the car, drive to your community today and show up there, like how can the SBA really make a tangible difference? What kind of activities would we do when we show up in your community that you think would be of value and benefit to your small businesses? And so, you know, even offline after this, you know, call me, email me today, tomorrow, next week, next month. I would be very interested in hearing about that and seeing if there's a way to make that happen with the resources we have available.
Great. Well, we have about 5 minutes left in our scheduled time. I want to be respectful of all of our guests and presenters' time today. So if you have questions, now's a great time to ask. And just to confirm, so we'll be able to get a printable or PDF copy of the slides that you guys shared with all of your contact info that we can send out with the link. Is that fair?
That's fine. Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, the contact info is there for our whole team. So love to hear from anybody anytime, and feel free to share it.
And it looks like Agnes has another question or maybe a thought in here. If advance notice could be given, meetings could be set up for a Q&A with our local port authority and business owners. Zoom would be available for those that couldn't attend.
Okay. So Q&A might be of value.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in here at the end and thank so much for these folks from the SBA to come and join us and talk about that. Brent, Andy, Kelly, Martin. Hope I didn't miss anybody, but really appreciate you giving people some resources. And sounds like people would like the PowerPoint. So yeah, Andy, if you want to send that to Ashley, she'll send that out to everybody.
Happy to.
Since we have a couple minutes here, I was going to use this opportunity to just remind people that the last reimbursement round of reimbursement for the CARES Act local government funding is going to open on January 11th. I'm guessing there will be the updated forms going up on Monday. You have already seen the updated guidance that was sent out, I think the last day of November, where payroll will not be covered or presumed covered anymore unless it's an out-of-pocket cost. Unless you are an entity that did not already put in for reimbursement for your presumed payroll. I think it's going to be open through the 22nd. So if you have any questions, reach out to us or reach out to the folks at Local Government Services. And then I just wanted to quickly touch on the legislature. As you know, week 1 has started. It has been an absolute whirlwind. It's going very fast. I think people are concerned about getting shut down by COVID, so they're trying to work as quickly as possible. We've seen stuff already introduced and gone to hearing on revenue and finance, on infrastructure, on land use, and a lot of stuff on local control issues. So I just wanted to remind you about the legislative tracking program. And Ashley, I think I can share my screen, right?
Yes, you should be able to share it. It'll probably kick Andy's screen off, but yes.
Sorry, I'm kicking off, Andy.
It's okay. No problem. It's okay.
Let's see if I can do this. So just to remind you, if you go to up here to go to the league's website, and then you can click on legislature and then legislative tracker.
Kelly, it's not showing on mine. It's showing me a blank screen.
Crying out loud.
So it says we're seeing your application. If you try sharing your whole screen, it tends to like that better.
How about?
Beautiful.
Now? Yay. Okay, so you go to our website, go to legislature, and then legislative tracker. And on this page, you can search the bills we're tracking by policy area, by what position we're taking on them, or by actual number. Or you can go down here, which is what I do because I'm lazy. And I click all MLCT bills, and then you can see everything here. I haven't been able, if you click into one of these, you'll see I put a little bit of a blurb here, staff analysis of the legislation. I haven't been able to get to everything yet, but some of them have that. If you have questions about what a bill does, just let me know and I can explain it to you. But we might actually get close to using the Engagify Blast system here pretty quickly. So be ready to start seeing emails come in and take action if we need you to jump on something. I know there is a bill coming out next week that will limit your voter-approved mill levies to requiring a 2/3 voter approval. And I'm not sure how many of you get 2/3, 67% voter approval on your voted mill levy. So we're seeing some stuff that would cause some problems for us. So stay tuned and let me know if you have any questions. That's all I had, Dan.
Kelly, it looks like a question came in that you might be able to address. It from Agnes says, what determination has been made for city to get some reimbursement for PR that county submitted for and got? This is a city expense that they can't claim for reimbursement.
The determination that we've gotten from the state is you guys need to work that out on your own. If you've got certain issues, let me know.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Kelly, and thank you, SBA folks. We sure appreciate your time. Very informative, and hopefully there'll be a stronger connection between our cities and the SBA and the business community moving forward. I know there's a lot of port authorities and different organizations and that interface quite closely with the city. So I think this has been very helpful information. And lastly, I notice it's 10 o'clock, but this will be the last opportunity you'll get the chance to say goodbye to Ashley. So we wish you well, Ashley, and we hope you won't be a stranger to local government.
Thank you all so much. I truly appreciate the opportunity to get to work with everyone. It's been an amazing ride for 6+ years, and please don't kick me out if I show up in your town or your county and say, hey, you want to go get coffee post-COVID?
We'll really miss you.
All right. Stay safe, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.